Hurts takes the snap. He's back. He's going to run. He's in! Touchdown! Jalen Hurts! The Eagles are just devouring the Giants. And it is A.J. Brown again! Another touchdown!
Welcome back to the Linc Lineup. This is episode 25, so it's only fitting we call it the shady episode. And today's episode is a great one. The Philadelphia Eagles beat the Kansas City Chiefs in a Super Bowl rematch, 21-17. And man, oh man, was it a game you kind of sweat out there, and at times you wanted to probably turn off the TV and go to bed. But for those of you who stuck around and watched the whole game, you were rewarded because the Eagles pulled this one out of their ass. That's pretty much sums it up. But we're going to talk about it because there's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot of feelings to let out and talk about. And what we're going to do today is a safe space, and we're just going to let it all out. Let's get our initial takeaways from the game, our initial feelings, I guess, is what we'll say. And then we'll talk about the offense, defense, special teams, and whatever else we want to talk about. Bryce, what are your feelings coming from this game?
Okay, so right off rip, I'm gonna hit you with a stat that I seen. In the last 15 games, Jalen Hurts is 14-1. In the last 20 games, Jalen Hurts is 18-2. In the last 30 games, Jalen Hurts is 27-3. That should tell you everything you need to know about this quarterback. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. The future MVP and the leader of this franchise.
I'm going to pause you real quick because you brought some stats. I want to bring some stats as well. So since you brought it up, Jalen Hurts has 13 straight wins against teams with a winning record. Regular season. Obviously, we lost to the Chiefs, but regular season. He also has 7 straight wins trailing by 10 or more points. Go take back the reins, man.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say that the outcome of this game showed me that us as a fan base, there should not be any doubt in our mind going into any game if he is under center quarterback. There should be full confidence that we can win the game. It doesn't matter the opponent that we're going against, because all he knows how to do and all this team knows how to do is win games. It doesn't matter how they do it. It doesn't matter what they need to get it done. They just know how to come out with a victory in the end. I know it was sloppy. It had me so frustrated to watch. But like you said at the beginning, for the ones that didn't turn it off and go to bed at halftime, I was one of them people who got real close to shutting the TV off and saying, I'm done watching this. But I stuck around, stuck to the end, and couldn't be more happy with the outcome of it.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I'd never turn off the games, even though I say I am. Just because football.
The same way.
Yeah. Football is just such a short time. It's it does last like 4 or 5 months, or September, October, November, December, January, 6 months, right? So it lasts half the year, but there's only some people only get to watch their team play 17 games. And so if we're bad, I'm going to watch it because, I only get 17 games with my team this year. And who knows what you might see in garbage time. Some, undrafted guy just takes full advantage of his opportunity, and he has something to be excited for. There's always something to look forward to, unless, of course, you're the Giants, who have absolutely nothing to look forward to. So last night, it was third quarter, or right towards the end there. I was like, "There's no way." I was actually after the Travis Kelce fumble, and then we turned it to absolutely nothing. That's when I was like, "Man, they're just going to beat us." Like, we had no juice or no, we have nothing.
Yeah.
But you know, with this team, um, I think any like doubts and any criticisms that you're going to hear throughout the rest of the year, you should look at this game, um, because like we've seen the Eagles win, maybe not this year, but in the past in like blowout fashions, right? We've seen them win super close games, and they just beat the second best team in the NFL playing one of their worst football games they've ever played, and they beat them. Um, and what makes me look at this team and that gets a special feeling is like no matter how many times they get punched in the mouth and get knocked down, again and again and again and again, because they got knocked down tons of times. They keep on getting right back up.
Yeah.
And when nothing's going your way, and you know you have leaders like Jalen Hurts, you have Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, you know, Nick Sirianni.
I was just about to say, I think you got a point to the culture that Nick has brought in to this team ever since he became head coach. They don't lose. They don't lose games. I mean, not as crazy as that is, as it sounds. They do not lose football games. It's it's weird. I don't know what they've done ever since. Ever since I can't remember the record of it or what it was, but I think ever since the whole Nick Sirianni introduction speech about the soil and being the flower and growth, this team, I think, don't hold me to this, but I'm pretty sure this team is like 36 and like 8 or something like that, 36 and 4 or something like that. Ever since that speech, this team just they don't lose. It's going to take a lot to beat this team. Anything that you can think you can come up with to beat this team, it shows that this team adjusts well. This team has very good uh, veteran leadership. They don't get too high, they don't get too low. But when this team gets hot, man, they're hard to stop.
Yeah. The 30-6 since the
30
speech.
and 6.
That speech was on October 27th, 2021. Um, but like I was saying, you have these leaders, and so like the game, nothing's going your way in this game, right? Nothing, absolutely nothing was going good in that first half. And you look at your leader, you look to your leaders, and they're not phased by anything. They're like, hey, next drive, next time we're on the field, we're going to make something happen. Um, and then like even the people on that team that may have doubts, they're like, why, we're going to believe this. We're going to believe the same thing you are, because like obviously you've been there, done that, and you believe. Why shouldn't I? And so just watching them just continue to get up and get up and get up after getting knocked down, and beating this team in a hostile environment such as Arrowhead is truly a remarkable thing. And you're going to get a lot of people that are going to say, well, they're treating this like their Super Bowl. It's just a good win, and if you're a Chiefs fan, the way we're talking about this win, you should probably take it and you know take it as a compliment, because you guys
You
are,
guys got a you guys are a very good football team.
besides your wide receivers, you know, but that's my feeling coming out of it, is like I believe in this team more than I believed in the team that won it all. Um, I just It's found a way to win, and I've been a part of many years where it feels like that the Eagles team that year just doesn't win. They always find a way to lose, and this team just finds a way to win, and it's hard to imagine them losing at any point this year. As long as they keep their head on straight, and they keep on grinding out these games. there's no doubt in my mind that they could run the table the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Is it realistic? I don't know, but it could definitely happen, and it wouldn't shock me at all. Um, it would shock me if we lost more than 2 games the rest of the way. It would shock me. I'm not scared. I'm not scared of any team, and this gauntlet is looking like less intimidating by the day. So that's my overall feelings coming out of this game. What do you want to talk about first? Offense, defense, special teams.
Um, let's let's look at the low light first of it all. Let's talk about the offense. So my immediate reaction, I don't know. I don't know if Spags just had our number with the play calls or we just repetitively we're just shooting ourselves in the foot. The biggest thing my takeaway was offensive line did not seem like they were a cohesive unit at all for in that first half. They looked like they just couldn't get it figured out. Um,
Yeah, a good
I don't know.
example is the Trent McDuffie sack where he just came free.
Yeah, I watched the replay on that. They ran a stunt with the D tackle and the defensive end. You're running a stunt on 2 guys and sending another rusher off the same edge. That'd be kind of hard to pick up, but there's other times where the one I look to is the Lane Johnson one, where he had Chris Jones on him, and he didn't even touch Chris Jones. I think there may have been some miscommunication there, thinking it was a screen, and it wasn't because Lane didn't even touch him. But uh, his team let up 5 sacks, and they all came in the first half. Uh, that's something that is very, very rare with this offensive line. I can't remember the last time they let up 5 sacks. I can't remember the last time they let up multiple sacks in a game. Uh, but that it just didn't look good, man. It didn't look like the team we're used to.
Yeah. A lot of the negative things I've seen about Jalen is he dropped his eyes a lot early on. And rightfully so, just because you take sacks, back to back plays, you start getting happy feet. Any quarterback is going to get happy feet. He dropped his eyes, missed some open receivers because of it. And credit to the Chiefs defense for creating pressure and causing Jalen not to play his game. It was evident in the box score when you look at it. I don't like box score watching, but I mean it is what it is. He 14 for 22 for 150. And that in the third quarter, he had 69 yards passing. And I was like, what is this high school game? Because on the flip side, Patrick Mahomes was almost the same way. So, Jalen didn't have a great game. He didn't have a great game. Almost fumbled the ball. But luckily, I don't know why he didn't fall on it, but he just he stood up and just reached down nonchalant.
He's going to pick it up with one hand at first. I was like, oh shit. I was like, this is not good.
But
what did you think? Now that we've kind of stepped back away from the game, and it's not initial emotions, what'd you feel about the game plan, offensive game plan itself? Because I could see the philosophy behind it. I could see what they were trying to do, but I just don't think they were executing very well.
So my biggest problem with the game plan was, we're down 17-7 coming out of halftime, right? And you have to have something happen, right? And it's just 3-0. And then I believe
it was the most bogus 3-and-out I've ever seen, too, dude.
Which one was that one?
The first drive out of halftime, 2 runs and a quarterback draw on 3rd and 7.
Yeah.
That one about sent me over the top.
And then there was let's just talk about questionable play calling since we're talking about game plan and stuff and it ties it hand to hand. We had the ball 3rd and 1, I believe it was in the third quarter, and we ran it with the shotgun, and then we lost like 3 yards. Why are we not doing the brotherly shove? right
That
there and
yeah.
then. You
Yeah.
know, we learned from it later on. We did it, but that's terrible. I believe after the fumble, we did the two screens back to back. Now I don't know why we throw it to Devontae Smith on the screen. He can get loose for a couple yards, but he's
He's not
not
breaking
like
any tackles.
yeah. The play has to be perfect, and I feel like every time we run these types of plays, it just never is perfect. And then on the flip side, why are we throwing it to Julio, who, no offense, he looks kind of slow, but like he's a big receiver. I think he's going
He's
to,
6'3", 220 pounds. Why are you running a wide receiver screen to him?
and he's like 34 years old, 33 years old. He's
Yeah.
not. He should not be catching a wide receiver screen. I know you want to get him involved, but that's just not the play to get him involved.
Yeah.
Um, so like, there's that. And then there is this notion that Jalen is calling his own numbers sometimes, and he'll call the play just because it's based on what he sees. But I don't know. I don't know. And then like I will give props because that screen that to Younger Swift that looks like a Texas route
Yeah.
is
That
nice.
that's really nice. I like
Very
that.
nice.
They need to implement that more, especially against aggressive defenses. That's why I could understand why the play calling it was what it was. Now looking at it, because we know as a Steve Spagnuolo defense is a very aggressive defense, and that their defense relies on their secondary and their defensive line. Everything in the middle tends to tends to be a little free. You know what I mean? The Chiefs are they don't have a good defensive line this year as a whole. You have Chris Jones, and after him, there's a significant drop off from to everybody else. You can run the ball on that team, and that's why I could understand the quarterback draws at some point because that defensive line they either run a bunch of stunts or they get directly upfield and they running like a bat out of hell upfield. Like they're not setting any edges, they're not setting playing any gaps. They're trying to get downhill and downhill fast. So what's the best way to technically beat that is like either a delayed handoff or in our case a quarterback draw where there's some sort of delay to it and you get all of them rushing at one point of attack. And hopefully, if it works out the way it's supposed to, Jalen slips through it. But I don't understand why we're running it so many times, is what I wasn't getting, why I wasn't understanding. That secondary, to me, doesn't scare anybody. You got
They're solid,
Legarius.
but
They're solid. You got Trent McDuffie and Legarius Sneed. Trent McDuffie's actually developed into a very good corner. Legarius Sneed's kind of been off and on. He's had a lot of penalties against him this year. But I got to give him props where it's due. He held AJ Brown to one catch for 8 yards. So not a lot of people do that.
AJ should have had a touchdown. But
Yeah, that's
the,
neither
inter-
here nor there. But
the interception, I'm not
that's a
blaming. I'm not blaming either one of them.
no. Um, Jalen had a Jalen had a pretty good rush right in his face as soon as he is going to throw that, and AJ kind of just made up his own route. But like they were talking on the TV broadcast, he beat him so bad off the line of scrimmage that they just throw this motherfucker in the air and it's a touchdown.
Yeah.
But it's I wasn't mad about it. I give AJ props. That was big brain play there, trying to let him get back up.
A couple more things I want to talk about. Kenneth Gainwell only got one carry, for 1 yard compared to Boston Scott, who had two carries. Obviously, it's not much of a difference, but it might be a sign that you know the coaching staff is like, hey, Kenneth Gainwell is not the guy that we think he is, and maybe they're finally realizing what's happening, and they're going to give it up.
Yeah,
You
he
know,
had he had kind of a bonehead play there going out of bounds right before halftime. I could
yeah,
understand why he did it, but at the same time, look at your down and distance and look where you're at on the field. And I can't remember how much time left there off the top of my head, but it wasn't a lot. So at you have to think you just got to have kind of in-game awareness. But I try to put myself in that position. I probably would have done the same thing. I don't know if I would have blatantly tried to make myself go out of bounds. Is what like because you're giving the ball back to the Chiefs with time.
It's set up 3rd and 15.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Like try to make something happen at that point. I don't
And it left a minute on the clock.
yeah.
And at this point, Braden Mann wasn't punting the ball particularly well.
Yeah.
And the
I'm pretty sure that punt after that was his worst one of the night. Kind of just hit it off the side of his foot.
but even then, for a second there, it didn't even matter. Kadarius Toney was just returning the ball at will.
Dude, that motherfucker turns into Devin Hester against us, dude.
I was mad at that.
His 3 longest career punt returns are against the Eagles.
Stop putting
That's
it to
crazy.
that man. But to wrap up the offense, everybody's saying fire Brian Johnson, and I don't know.
I was saying it last night as well, but I think that was more so my initial reaction to what was going on. Now that I've let it sit and digest and think about it, but it I can understand what he was trying to do, and but at the same point, I just don't think you run those same plays that many consecutive times, dude. I wasn't lying last night when I literally counted 6 screen passes in a row.
Well, I don't like so many passes behind the line of scrimmage. Some are good. If you call up the right one against the right play that like the defense throws at you, you can take it for
A big chunk of yards.
but there's gonna be times and more times often than not, at least with this team, it's a negative play or it's just like a whatever play.
Yeah.
It's not like a positive. Um, but
Apologize to anybody listening right now. I'm a little under the weather, so if you hear me sniffling, that's why.
we both are. We both are. I'm a little bit more over it than you are. Um, what else about the offense do I need to discuss? Devontae Smith, heck of a catch, heck of a game to be honest.
And he's getting hit with the 99-yard games a lot.
He'll break out and he'll get over 100 one of these games.
He stepped up big though for in a spot that they needed him. One thing I did want to hit on, I think losing Dallas Goddard is a much bigger hole than we think it
That's
is.
what I was just going to say. But I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, I think it's a much bigger hole than it we think it really is.
I don't think we'll lose games because he's gone, but I do think that at some points.
The offense is going to change in my eyes. I think. I like the whole pony package that they ran last night. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's what got DeAndre Swift wide open on the like jet sweep thing that they did.
Yeah.
And then I feel like you can do so much out of that, like out of those packages, even with that motion. You can give Boston Scott the ball, and he's going to get you a good chunk of change.
Yeah.
And then like who knows what else you can come up with. I just hope they don't get too cute with it, because we've seen what happens whenever they try to get cute, and it's not always great. But there's so much they can do.
You can do a quarterback keeper out of that, like a fake jet sweep quarterback keep to the either to the opposite direction. You can hand it off, run the jet sweep. You could probably run an RPO out of that. It'd
Probably
be
could.
you could. I kind of like that package. I saw it last night. I was like, well, that's interesting.
Well, I feel like they've seen a lot of like the beat reporters saw a lot of it in training camp and they just haven't been doing it throughout the year. They've like teased it, but I feel like
Yeah.
it'd work a lot better with Rashad Penny in the backfield. But that's there. Um, Jack Stoll, great blocker. He had some moments where he was shoving people off, like he was just shoving people and tush on the tush push / brotherly shove. He was just throwing people off the pile. He's doing a little enforcer role, and I like it.
Yeah.
Absolutely not a threat at all when it comes to passing. Just nothing.
Do you think that could be something we look at in the offseason? The tight
I
end
think so.
position.
I think so. I think Dallas Goedert's hurt too often.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's not his fault. Like the past 2 years haven't been his fault.
Yeah.
Just
Would
is what
you
it is.
I know it's not realistic at all, but if Brock Bowers is sitting there at the 32nd pick, would you take him?
Uh-oh.
Really?
Uh-oh. We got so much more than backup tight end. We gotta address. You know, DBs.
I don't know if Brock Bowers would be your backup tight end.
Well,
I think Brock Bowers would be the starter. Brock
he's so
Bowers is like a generational type tight end.
well. If he's there, take him. If he's there, take him. But we got a lot to do in the offseason. Um, but Grant Calcaterra left the game. He didn't come back.
I had a
So
lot of high hopes for him too, man. I don't know why. I remember him being such a good receiver at Oklahoma when he was there and at SMU. I think he's just been bit by the injury bug too much.
yeah, and I wish they just play Alberto. I just wish they'd play him. I feel like he could do some nice things if given opportunity.
He could be a
Um,
good vertical threat in this offense. He's such a big target in the middle of the field, and he's quick for a tight end. He's probably a better athlete. Just he's probably on the same level, if not a slight better athlete than Dallas is. I just think they love Dallas in the run game and the pass game so much that I don't know.
well, I've they said when we got him, he's almost like an elite route runner, and put him in the slot. Just put him in the slot. So like take some snaps away from Olamide Zaccheaus and Julio, and just let him do what he can do,
Yeah.
and he might surprise you.
Yeah.
He'll probably have a little more juice than Julio does, and um, you know, OZ just he's running sprints out there, so might as well just give him a shot. I think that's about it for the offense. Offensive line stepped up in the second half. Um, that pass from Jalen Devontae was beautiful. My only biggest complaint in the second half was um was it a turnover on downs or no? Brenton Covey turned the ball to like the 50-yard line. We got it on their 40 and got like two straight negative plays and we were back at our own 40. You got to be aggressive and you can't play like you got the game won. You're trying to run down the clock. That's how you let people back in the game. Ultimately, we almost let them right back in. But anything else you want to add about the offense before we wrap it up and talk about? We'll do special teams. I feel like we have a lot to say about defense.
It's good to see DeAndre Swift get back to having a big part of the offense. And I think that I listened to Ruben Frank and Dave Zangaro a bunch on the Eagle Eye podcast. Shout out, fellas, if you ever take a listen. But they talk a lot about Cam Jurgens being a big factor in why DeAndre Swift had such a good start to the year. I think it kind of showed last night. Cam played a good game for what he had to go up against because I feel like they lined up Chris Jones up against him a lot, and he held his own. I like it.
What do you think about Jalen being the front runner for MVP?
I like it. I mean, obviously, I like him for him to get his recognition that he deserves, but
Who
I
would be
think
the
it's
MVP right now?
who
If
would
he's
be
in
my
today, who
MVP
would
right
get your
now.
vote? Yeah.
It's a toss up between him and Lamar. Lamar's kind of having like a career kind of year right now, but um, I would lean Jalen. Me personally, I would give it to him because I don't think it. Let's think of the definition of MVP: most valuable player. The most valuable player in this league, according to their team record, what he does for the team, and so on and so forth. You stick Marcus Mariota right now in this fucking spot, we are nowhere near it. We're nowhere close. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. This team doesn't. This team doesn't go without Jalen Hurts, and that's to me is the definition of the most valuable player of the National Football League or of their franchise, their respective teams. So you stick, and if you're going to put it that way, look what the Ravens did with Tyler Huntley at the end of the year last year. They still made the playoffs, and they almost won a playoff game with him. So,
And we went 0-2 with Gardner Minshew.
yep, exactly. What about
Um,
you?
I'll give the Jalen. I'll
You
give the
think
Jalen.
it's kind of a closer race than the Vegas odds kind of have it right now?
No, I don't think so. I think, and also it might be because I'm feeling salty because of what happened last year where he should have won it. I feel like he deserves his flowers. And I feel like he will get it this year, but he doesn't care. He wants to win Super Bowl, and I think he'll get that this year as well. Moving on deep or special teams. Jake Elliott he had extra points. He did a trick shot, hit off the upright, bounced it in.
I seen
Um,
that tweet. Somebody said Jake Elliott out here hitting fucking trick shots just because he can.
that was Michael Kist. Favorite follows. Let's see who else. Braden Mann, like I said, had a couple terrible punts, and then all of a sudden he started hitting fucking nukes.
Bombs, dude.
I think one of his kicks, I feel like almost went 80 yards.
If we're gonna shout out special teams, one of the most key plays of that entire game itself was Josh Jobe downing Kadarius Toney where he did inside the 20-yard line.
Yeah, because
Excellent fucking punt by Braden Mann, but that punt returner back there has been cooking your shit all game long, and that's a big time. That was a big time tackle.
it was a 47-yard punt. They got down to the Kansas City 9-yard line. Yeah, Josh Jobe made a beautiful catch, or not catch, tackle. Caught him, I guess you could say, but I don't know why he.
I stood up and got hype in my house after that.
Yeah, I did too.
And
But I couldn't get too hyped because here comes the Kansas City Chiefs, with plenty of time. But yeah, shout out to him. Shout out to Braden Mann for figuring it out because one of those punts went like 2 yards. It felt like, and I was like, we're going through this shit again.
yeah.
Britton Covey had like 3 nice returns. I think he
Dude,
averaged
he's
17.
turning into one of the best returners in the league
I need him to
right
break
before
one
our
for a
very eyes.
touchdown.
Right before our very eyes. And I feel like he's not getting recognition that he deserves for some of this stuff that he's been able to do this year.
I wish he would return one for a touchdown. We could
Dude,
have saw one.
he looks like he's going to every time. And somebody out of nowhere just comes down, chops his legs.
I will say it looks like, at least from like a TV view, it does look like he's surrounded by players and he just finds a way, like finds a hole, and you're like, oh my god, how do he fit through that? But
Yeah. I
he's
feel like
awesome
he's
to
a lot
watch.
faster than what people give him credit for, too. But there's a reason that he is our punt returner. If people forget in college, dude, he was an excellent fucking punt returner. Like, has multiple punt returns for touchdowns. And I I don't know what it may be. I feel like some of the blocking fucks him sometimes.
I mean,
There's
Noah
a
Smith blocked him.
I was going to say there's been a couple times where I've seen Nolan Smith is like running right next to him, almost about to knock him over. I'm like, Nolan, get your fucking head on a swivel, dude. Look alive.
But yeah, shout out to them. Yeah, shaky first half, which is the theme of the whole game, but really stepped it up when it mattered in the second half.
Yeah.
Um, defense is going to be something we're going to talk about.
They need their flowers.
They do. They won us that game. That's all I can say about it. They won us that game. Big hat tip to Kevin Byard for basically following Travis Kelce all night long.
Played an excellent game against him, too.
Yeah, I mean, 7 catches, 44 yards, and a touchdown. You can't ask for much more. Travis Kelce's going to get his at some point, and it took a pick to get him open, which hopefully in the future, if that happens again between him and Darius Slay just automatically takes, Travis Kelsey there. But
Yeah.
um, great performance. Got a pick. Um, that pick in particular, um, you know, it wasn't a CJ GJ pick where he's 20 yards away from the receiver and quarterback air mails it and he's just there to catch the ball. Patrick Mahomes had a guy open and he just he pressed the wrong button. He meant to do a bullet pass, but he lightly tapped it. It kind of lobbed it in there,
Yeah.
and he didn't lead him away from Kevin Byard, but Kevin Byard broke on the ball, and made a pick.
Kevin Byard, like watched the film breakdown of it, of the pick itself, and listened to somebody was talking over it. Uh, Kevin Byard made an excellent read with his eyes. Um, that guy does his film study. You can clearly tell in that because that's a route concept that not a lot of people pick up on. Um, if they don't, if they're not absolutely looking for it, because that was almost like a slant and up, kind of just go to the back of the end zone kind of thing. And from what I remember, the Eagles were almost kind of like in a single high set, like single high safety kind of deal, and he had to cover a lot of ground almost to get there. Uh, but I think it was just an excellent read of reading Patrick Mahomes' eyes and understanding the route concept that was coming at him.
Shout out to him. He had a great night. Bradley Roby had a good night too. I feel like I didn't hear his name much when it came to the receivers catching the ball, which I mean, their receivers really didn't do hardly anything. Um, got the little peanut punch out. That was beautiful. That was textbook peanut punch. Um, so those two, veteran, thanks for being here.
Stepping up big.
Obviously, if you've been on social media, you've probably seen the MVS drop. Let the record show that last episode I did call him a bum, and so I was right. And Riley Roby was on the back end of that play. And,
Got burnt.
He
MVS
did.
is fast as fuck though, so I mean, I can't hold that against him. Can't hold that against somebody who just signed with the team not too long ago. So
Let me ask you this question: whenever you saw Patrick Mahomes do a little crow hop,
I checked out. I checked out mentally.
I got
I was
numb.
like, oh fuck. That was my immediate reaction.
I got
And
numb.
my girlfriend actually said the same thing as she seen it because she caught it too. She was like, "Oh shit!" She was like, "Somebody's open. Somebody's open bad."
The way he threw that ball, I was like, yeah,
Somebody's
that's
cooked.
going somewhere. And then it pans over and you see Bradley Roby just trailing.
Just fucking running like, fuck. I was like, oh god, dude. I was like, he
Giving it
dropped
his
the shit in
all,
the
man.
bucket.
Giving it his all and just to not even come close. But
So
I don't know how he dropped it, but he dropped it.
yeah, I don't want social media to take away. They're going to sit there and say the Eagles got lucky winning that football game, which in some aspects we did. But let's not forget that defense held that fucking team to 0 points in the second half.
0 points.
None. It was, I can't remember how many yards they had in the second half, but it wasn't, I don't think it was that much. But that's what caught my eye the most. They held that team to zero. You held a team of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey scoreless in a half where you absolutely needed it. You can't, bro, you can't ask for better defense there. I mean, you can't, there's nothing you could ask them to do better.
I think you can chalk it up to luck if you want to be like a Chiefs fan and you want to say, hey, they got lucky. You can't overlook the fact that Andy Reid punted it from the Eagles' 39-yard line. You cannot overlook that. That is, how happy I was whenever I saw the punt team come out?
I was like, they're
I,
punting this? I
I
was like,
was
what?
I was shocked. I was so shocked that they threw the punt team out there. I was expecting a
Look,
field goal at
I was
least.
too. I was too, especially with a kicker like Harrison Bucker. But I kind of said under my breath as soon as I watched the punt team come out on the field. I was like, Andy Reid, you fucking chicken shit motherfucker. You I was like, you're fucking scared, dude.
If you've
But
been an Eagles fan long enough, you have flashbacks.
I
It's watching him not manage the time well, kind of be
think he got,
conservative.
if you want to put it to what it is, he got out coached in the second half.
He did.
He got flat out coached. Sean Desai out coached him.
Yeah, he did. Hassan Reddick got a sack on like the first play. It felt like.
I'm gonna count fucking Josh Sweat got a sack too, dude. This whole intentional grounding shit. Count it as a sack, bro.
That's the second one this year that's happened.
Yeah. Which is funny. He talked about his post game press conference too. He was like, dude, just give me the sack.
I don't
He
see
said it
how it's not
results
a
in the
sack.
same yard. He said it
Yeah,
results in the same yard. So
yeah. I don't see how it's not a sack. I don't get it because especially like if it's one of those things where the quarterback's being brought down and they just kind of heave it,
yeah,
you got to give it to the guy chasing him. Like
yeah,
you got to it has to happen. And
yeah.
he played well. He played well. He did jump off sides. Speaking of off sides, shout out to BG. Because he hopped off sides and they didn't move. And whenever they moved and they threw the flag, I was like, you can't call that, can you? Like, um, but man, that was killer. Anybody else on defense I'm missing?
James Bradbury. James Bradbury played a
APJB.
he played a good enough game to where he wasn't really getting targeted much at all. So
Darius Slay did too. He had a pretty good game.
yeah. Um,
Um,
so we've downplayed the outside corners before on this podcast. So we can give him the flowers this time. You old fuck stepped it up and y'all played great. Big brain play almost made by Jalen Carter.
almost. I didn't realize it was that close.
I've never seen anything like that before. Apparently, Twitter has told me that that's actually happened and it's actually worked. Grady Jarrett did it one time for the Falcons,
Oh, really?
but it wasn't to the same extent. Grady Jarrett knew that he was spiking the ball. It was against the Jets. And Grady just bull rushed the center. And before he could drop the ball all the way down, Grady kind of just took it from him. This one, Jalen Carter went underneath the fucking center's legs and tried to catch the ball. I've
I
never, I've never seen that.
I think the chance of you actually catching that ball it's like so slim unless the quarterback just kind of just barely like throws it like tries to spike it. Most quarterbacks are trying to throw it down quick, and
Yeah.
there's no chance. But he almost
Yeah.
got there. I want to shout out one more player, Milton Williams. Had a great performance. Sucks that he seemed like he had a concussion, so that
Like he
chances are,
knocked himself the fuck out.
yeah, chances are he's going to miss the Bills game, just because typically people don't come back,
Yeah.
especially on a short week.
Milt was locking down the run game.
Yeah,
Pacheco couldn't do nothing with Milt in the game, it seemed like.
I like Pacheco. I will say
I don't.
I like the way he runs, man. He pisses me off, and I know if he's on my team, I'd love him.
That's how I see it. But every time we play against him, he seems to have a good game against us. But it's seen something on Twitter. It just described his running style so perfect. He was like, I can't tell if Isaiah Pacheco is fast as fuck or he's the slowest player in the league, and he's just trying his hardest.
Well, it's like the one thing I saw was like it was like last year. It was like it seems like he runs like he hates the ground, and whenever he runs, it looks like he wants to get every piece of grass out of it
Yeah.
off the field.
It's like he runs like he runs like a badass little kid.
Yeah. But like he's as a fan of the Eagles and watching him play against the Eagles, it's frustrating because like it seems like they'll have him like stop in the backfield, but he keeps on moving, and he'll get like 3 yards.
Yeah.
And I wish we had him. I'm not gonna lie. I wish we did.
Yeah. Shout out to Reed. Reed popped his ass on the sideline one
Did,
time though.
did. He did. He did. Lit his ass up.
So when are we going to determine that Reed Blankenship is still one of the last dying breeds of a hard hitting safety in this league?
He might be the best safety we ever had. Just kidding.
You know what was my first thought as soon as you said that, and I don't know why it was what I was like, Malcolm Jenkins. I didn't even think of B Dog all the time. I was like, what?
Malcolm Jenkins was good too, man. I miss him a lot too.
Rodney McLeod was good for a while.
Yeah, I miss him too.
I don't. Not really.
I miss them all. Anything else about the defense that we should bring up? I feel like Zach Cunningham and Nicholas Morrow had an okay game. I feel like they didn't have as many tackles, but like they weren't getting exposed.
Yeah. Kind of trying to think.
Last thing I will say is, because it kind of ties in, is there was so much holding. There was so much holding going on.
I'm not one to complain about refs at all. You know this. I've never really blatantly openly talked about refs being a problem in a game. But holy fuck, dude. They could have threw a flag literally every single play if they really wanted to. On that fucking left tackle that was going against Josh Sweat. Oh my God. Josh was eating him alive, dude. And it was blatant, just constant holding.
Yeah.
Jalen Carter, the one that bro, somebody hip dip tackled his fucking ass in the backfield. I was like, how does that work?
That's what
how do you get away with that?
Is Jalen Carter beat him, and then he was like running towards Patrick Mahomes, and he got like tackled, and then going back to the left tackle, Josh Sweat's like around the corner, and the guy is like holding him like this, and like it's like every play like he's like hooking him, and they're not calling it. They called it like once or twice, but like you got to call more than that, especially when it's so blatant.
I had another thing I wanted to ask you. What'd you think of the roughing the passer on Fletcher Cox?
You can't call that.
I think it was kind of ticky tack, but this is not coming from. I'm gonna put my Eagles bias aside. Technically, when it comes to the rules, yes, you have to. If it's 2 steps, and then engage yourself into them, yeah, that's technically roughing the passer. But I think it looked a lot worse than it actually was. I think Fletcher Cox just bench pressed his ass and he at one point Patrick Mahomes was parallel in the air. Yeah. I was like, damn. But that's NFL poster boy, and they're not gonna let that fly. So
yeah, so I remember a couple years ago, before this was like, what year was this? Probably 2020. Probably. We went to me, Caitlin, her dad. We went to a Philadelphia Cowboys game in Philly, and it was that year that we sat this team and the Cowboys didn't. I went to Mitchell Ness store, and the guy they're like talking about football and stuff. And he's like, "Hey man, who's your favorite non-Eagle player?" And I said Patrick Mahomes because at that time, I like Patrick Mahomes.
I do too. I like Pat.
I don't. I hate him.
Really?
There's no reason after every play you gotta like what your whole team is committing right now. Like they're holding, this is crazy. It's crazy. And like it is on like levels of like NBA players, right? And you can't like I understand you're competitive and like you wanna win no matter what. But man, you are making the game so like not fun to watch sometimes. Because like they weren't going to call encroachment on Jalen Carter that one time until
he bitched them into making that call, dude.
And that was crazy. Fletcher Cox, by the way, nice little
athletic.
He didn't hop over anybody. He hopped in between them, but
he jumped in the gap.
Yeah, but we'll say our story and say he hopped over him. But I don't like you can't let him just dictate your call like because they weren't calling that shit.
No.
even though Jalen Carter did push him.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody call that. It's because we know what they're doing. I mean, you're trying to chew clock, but I you can't blatantly do it, which I don't. It's whatever, but what I have a problem with is he's bitching these refs into making these calls. And it's if he gets hit in the backfield, it's immediate. He starts that point and shit. That picture that you shared in our group chat of the Polar Express kid, fucking
Yeah.
dude.
That's what he does. That's what he does. It's crazy. And 9 times out of 10, they'll give him that call, and it doesn't make sense to me. It does not.
It's
make
disgusting, dude. I don't get it. I'm glad we won though. Holy fuck.
Yeah, I'm glad we won. I'm about to after we get done. I'm probably going to rewatch the condensed version of it.
Yeah.
Go to bed. Just because, you know, so the wrap up defense, they won us the game. That's all we can say, right? They won us that game. But to wrap up this episode, this game meant a lot to us Eagles fans because, like, yes, it didn't avenge like the loss from February because I would much rather have the loss happen last night than in Glendale, but it meant a lot because, like, at the end of the day, it is like a get back, right? It kind of is, and like for 3.5 quarters, I had every bit of feelings I had during the Super Bowl, where it was like, man, I cannot believe we lost this, and we lost. We can't beat the Chiefs. We just can't beat Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid owns us, yada yada yada. But the emotions that happened after the game, because we pulled it out of our ass, it made a lot of the suffering a little bit worth it, because like so we can do it. And I feel like we should be like everybody's number one team. And I feel like we still have doubters, and I don't know why. I know people are comparing us to like the Vikings last year with so many like one possession like wins. Because remember, but they had a negative point differential. They were barely beating bad teams. We're beating solid teams. And
Yeah, it's not like we're just our strength of schedule compared to theirs then was it's night and day. It's night and day difference. You put that Vikings team through this gauntlet that we got, that team gets their ass beat against these teams, dude.
beat down. And just to put in perspective, we so like I saw a tweet. It was like NFC opponents versus teams with winning records. Eagles 3-0, or like it was like 3-0, 4-0, something like that. It was 49ers were like 2-3. And then it was like everybody else had losing records or like 500 records. Like we're a good team. We're a good team.
Yeah.
We lost
We're
to
the
the
best team in
Jets.
the league, and it's not. I'm to the point where I'm starting to say it's not particularly close. Like it's because you look at the flaws of other teams have. Say example the 49ers. You take away their weapons, that team's nothing, dude. I mean that team can't score without Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk. You know what I mean? What I'm trying to get at, Brock Purdy cannot lead them to a victory himself if it has to come to that. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not built and sustainable for that. I don't know. That team frustrates me so bad, dude, to watch. I mean, just the hype that they get around that team. It's whatever. That fucking defensive line that everybody's glorifying, that's a good defensive line on paper. This is the whole Nick Bosa hype. Nick Bosa got bitched last year against Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson had his fucking groin tore in two pieces and didn't allow a single pressure. Come on, dog. I mean, let's call it what it is. This 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 Eagles team is built for whatever you are going to throw at them.
I think you're right, and I think that luckily for us, we have the Bills. We got to play who people still think are a solid team. We have the 49ers once again, one more time,
Bring it on, bitch.
and we beat them. When does the question stop at that point? When do the question stop once we beat the Cowboys back at Dallas, or will the question still continue? It's like at what point will it happen? Will it happen whenever we go to Las Vegas and we hold the Lombardi up for the second time in franchise history, or will the question stop then, or will it continue?
Yeah.
Because here's my thing: no matter no matter what happens, everybody's going to discredit Nick Sirianni, and everybody's going to discredit Jalen Hurts, and it's irritating because sure, Nick Sirianni has a great team, but do you know how hard it is to lead a team and like not lose a locker room at any point when things aren't going well?
Yep.
And sure, we haven't had the most like adversity, in our face, but like last night, good example of having your back against the wall and not folding
Yep.
because we kept on fighting back, and I feel like that's all Nick and Jalen, and Jalen, yeah, he has AJ, he has Devontae, he has DeAndre Swift, but like
I've never understood that fucking argument from people. All the how much help does Jalen need? You would be on your knees fucking crying if your team could even come close to what Howie Roseman has done for this Philadelphia Eagles team. You you would sleep so peaceful at night if you could come close to what he's done for this team. And like you're talking about, they're going to discredit Nick Sirianni, discredit Jalen Hurts. Go ahead and read them stats you said at the beginning of this episode. The Jalen's win loss percentage, or win loss ratio against winning teams. Nick Sirianni, 30-6 since the speech he given. Jalen Hurts is 14-1 in his last 15 games, 18-2 in his last 20, and 27-3 in his last 30 NFL games that he has played. What more questions do you got to fucking ask? I mean, they're the best team in football. They've been the best team in football for the past couple years. And it's not particularly close, dude. I don't see anybody on close to the level of just the franchise that they are. This team is 9-1 in back-to-back years. Who the fuck can say that? You know what I mean? I mean, that's something that's not common in this league, man.
and I could see him do it again next year. Like I have all the faith in the world. Obviously, that's a long time until then, but I want to end this pod with two questions. And first question is, do you think by the time it's all said and done, Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback the Eagles have ever had?
Yes.
Easy yes for me too.
It's easy, yes. Just based on his sheer record alone and the records that he's broken right now as an Eagle alone. It's not particularly close right now.
And then the next question is, at what point does Nick Sirianni become the best head coach the Eagles ever had? Andy Reid is probably the best one we ever had, and he didn't even win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But do you think there's an argument that Nick Sirianni is the best coach we've ever had at this very second?
This may sound crazy, but I don't think it's crazy myself. If Nick Sirianni wins a Super Bowl this year, next year, whatever, he is hands down the best coach that the Eagles have ever had.
I feel like you could argue he might be the best coach in the league. And I don't care about the people that are going to say, well, he doesn't call plays when he just have the ball. I don't care. The
He
coach
goes past that.
coach leads, and
Yeah.
he's a leader of men, and that's the best
You may call
quality.
him corny. You may call him whatever you want, but that record, his win-loss record, indicates on what kind of coach he is.
Absolutely. So that'll do it from for this recap pod.
It was a passionate recap.
I can't wait to watch the game again.
Yeah.
It's been fun. It's been fun. Wish Josh was here. Some scheduling conflicts. He'll be back probably next week. Because he's going out of town for Thanksgiving. We have one more game we have to get through until the Eagles game that we're going to go see.
I'll make a proposition here real quick for that 49ers one. In-person pod.
Maybe.
Come on, dude. We gotta do it.
We'll see. We'll see if we have time. Time is definitely not something we have up there. But one more game. I'll leave in 12 days, 13 days now. Super excited for it. Super excited for the rest of the year going forward. Once we start this gauntlet, at least I was excited because we would finally get to see what this Eagles team's about, right? We're playing some of the best teams in the NFL, and we learn so much about the Eagles. And what have you learned so far is they win. They just win. They win ugly, they win pretty, they win all different ways, and that's the sign of a great team.
Well, there's your title for this pod. Just win.
Shout out to was it Al Davis? Just win, baby. But we will be back at some point this week to, I guess, preview the Eagles Bills game. Spoiler alert, I think we're going to win.
Yep.
We're going to win. And can't wait to talk about it. Can't wait for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, it's 2 days away. We're recording on Tuesday. So anybody listening, hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Best wishes to you and all your families.
Absolutely. And for those who are watching football on Thanksgiving, it's a fun one because guess what? All three games have meaning for the Eagles. You have the Commanders and Cowboys. Go Commanders. We have the Seahawks and the 49ers. Go Seahawks, baby. And then we have the Lions and the Packers. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go. Because, man, I don't want another game where all three of them win and we were staring them right
down the gun barrel again.
Can't do it. But this Eagles team will do it if they have to, and they will prevail. But
in the wise words of Jalen Hurts, rain, sleet, or snow, the Eagles train to go, baby.
That's just a smooth line. That's what a cool guy.
I swear.
But yeah, thanks for listening. If you're watching YouTube, I'm about to take this some bitch off YouTube because you guys don't watch it, but I'll put it on there anyway, just because why not? Apple Podcast, Spotify listeners, the other ones I can't remember the names of. Thank you for listening. Share with a friend.
Thank you.
Share with a friend. And just enjoy the win. Just enjoy the win because NFL season's short, and we're already over halfway. I can't believe it because I feel like yesterday we were just talking about the Eagles versus the Patriots.
A couple more weeks, and we'll be talking about playoffs.
Yeah, we will. And that's exciting because unless something drastic happens,
time of the year for me.
Well, for a while there, the Eagles didn't go to the playoffs, so I'm loving every second of it.
Yep.
Excited that we're in position to be in the playoffs because it's exciting times. But we will see you guys in the next one. Like I said, thank you all for listening. Hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And until next time, as always, go Birds.
Go Birds.